Hello, everyone. I see you all out there. I have a new guest. This is Whitney, and Whitney is actually from Valentine, Nebraska. And Valentine, Nebraska is the setting or part. Actually, there's more than one setting in the new Hallmark movie that's coming out on Saturday called Welcome to Valentine. So the story takes place, I think it starts in New York City, and they take a road trip and make their way to Valentine, Nebraska. And it's a real place. And I thought, well, I have to talk to the folks that really live there. Hello, Whitney.
Well, hello. How are you doing this evening?
I'm okay. Can you scan down somehow or so we could see your t-shirt? Look at that. I love it. I love it.
Well, you got to represent Valentine, Nebraska, and it's one of our designs that my husband does that we actually sell at our boutique.
Yes. So that's how I found you. I did a little research and I'm like, look at this gorgeous little boutique. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to get in touch with you. You call me right back. So let's talk about your little boutique first.
Yeah. Well, it's Broken Spoke Boutique. We're in Valentine, Nebraska. We've been open for 7 years, and it's something that me and my husband do together. We run the business together. Our children had been there with us from the time they were little kids. So when they started going to school full time, that was a good day. Because it's a little stressful working with your kids, but it's something that we have never thought would ever happen. And I don't think this opportunity would have happened if we weren't in Valentine, to be honest. I think we'd still be stuck at working at a bank, working at a big job that, you have to go to every single day. But this opportunity happened for us, and it's been honestly a dream come true.
Now, what are you online too? We can purchase things online, right?
Oh, yeah. Shopbrokenspoke.com. You can go there and shop. We actually, just to let you know, these shirts right now, we have our Valentine's Day wear, 50% off. And this includes this shirt till midnight, because this is one of our normal Valentine, Nebraska ones, but it is 50% off. Just FYI, if anyone's wanting to snag some Valentine swag. But we do. You can shop. We, ship out. And we have a lot of people that come through Valentine that then have that connection with Broken Spoke that we continually to have that relationship with, to ship out all over the United States, which is really fun.
That's really nice. I love it. So, I know that you have the t-shirts. What are some other things that we would find in your shop?
Oh, yeah. So, we are a boutique, so we carry women's clothing, children's clothing. We do carry a lot of our Valentine, Nebraska items that you can get, whether it's your stickers, your mugs, keychains. We have, a little bit of everything for your Valentine tourist stuff that you're looking for. But we have other items that are also handmade by other small businesses, small artists. We like to find other small businesses that have ways of giving back to different things as well. And so it's fun to have something that's unique and different. You're not going to find just anywhere else. And that's what we enjoy with the aspect of having the boutique as well.
Which is very Hallmarkish. So when Hallmark, now they're going through a change, and so they are trying different settings. And if I sound like I'm shouting, everyone, most of you that already know me, and in case you don't know, I had tech issues, so I have an issue with volume. I have a big voice, but I'm trying to not shout. But getting back to this, so they tend to be like that small town feel, even if it takes place in a city. They have their little inner circle. And one of the things that they would have would be a shop. And in the shop, they would definitely want to have the local artists who like to give back in some way and have stuff so in their shop. So it's very much like a Hallmark real life, which I think the fans of Hallmark are going to love. That's why I was like, oh my goodness, it's a real place. Have to have you on. We have to talk it up. If nothing else, they can shop online, but it would be great if they came to visit. So when I say small town, I think I live in a small town, and we have about almost 15,000. How many people live in your town?
So we are technically under 3,000 people. And just to give more perspective into that, you do have small towns outside of big cities. Well, we are the big town that everyone comes to from the smaller towns to do all of their shopping, grocery shopping, getting their ranching and farming equipment, going to the doctor, doing their shopping. Another perspective would be that we are 2.5 hours away from a Walmart. Um, if we
Okay.
do want to go to the big city, which would be Rapid City, South Dakota, we're
Okay.
driving 3 hours to get there. So when you talk about the middle of nowhere, Valentine is in the middle of nowhere, but that is what gives us that special charm and just the whole aspect of that small town and community feel because we are so isolated from everything. And, it's funny because people coming in from the other smaller towns were the city. So,
That's funny. That's cute though. We were talking a little bit earlier backstage, and of course I was asking about the school system because I'm a teacher, and I was surprised to find out like all that you have to offer. I mean, you have quite a bit to offer. You have public school, and then you have private schools, and then you have your country schools. I mean, I thought, okay, wow, you got it like going on. So whoever is your mayor, Kyle, right? What is Kyle's
yes,
name? What is
Kyle Argenbright is our mayor, and
Yes,
he's
good
doing
for him. And you have a school board, and I'm sure you have a city board or town board. They're doing like some pretty amazing things. I'm thinking, let's talk about like, okay, we're going to visit. We're driving along, road trip, and we come through town. What are some of the things that we would see or we should go to?
one of the things when you're driving just even a few hours outside of Valentine, I will tell you the most beautiful thing is the sand hills. A
Oh,
lot of time when you think of Nebraska, you think plain, flat. I mean, Nebraska even had a whole like thing about it being boring. It's not, far from boring, but once you reach the sand hills, it's these beautiful rolling hills that you can just see from miles away. The sunsets, the sunrise, gorgeous. The stars, they're beautiful. And it's something, honestly, when the first time I came out to Valentine to visit my in laws, I'm used to South Carolina, trees, forest, woods everywhere.
yes.
And you see the open space, you see the cornfields, and all of a sudden we hit about 2 hours outside of Valentine, and I was just amazed. I was, like, enthralled with the beauty of everything that was around us, and I'm like, "Is this real?" And even my parents had the same reaction. So many people we've met, even people in Nebraska who haven't been out west coming to our direction, who had never seen it before. It's so beautiful. And even with the sandhills, we're known for kind of like out in Valentine, we're in Cherry County. We're known as Cow County because there's technically more cows than people. Um, you have a huge ranch population out there for ranchers. So you have the cows that get to just go on land and miles and miles and miles and thousands of acres of land that they just get to roam on, which is pretty neat. But even with the sand hills, it's actually a national native landmark, which is
Oh,
another unique aspect about the Valentine area. And we even have one of the largest grasslands that's still intact in the world. It's the largest in the world, and it covers 1/4 of our state, which is kind of a neat little fact with that.
I think I read somewhere that isn't there a part of it that's like prehistoric, like it was a prehistoric sea or something, like geologically you could trace it back that there was actually seawater or ocean or something in the area, or is that an old wives' tale?
You know what? I am not sure,
Okay.
but so we are under it's the Ugalala Aquifer. And so that you have like a nice reservoir of water underneath us. So that's one of the popular things, is one of the largest ones too.
Wow.
And it's amazing water. I will tell you, coming from drinking tap water in South Carolina to our water here,
Mm.
it's like fresh water. It makes a difference. And so I guess you were talking, driving into Valentine. That's one of the first things you're going to see.
Okay.
But then you're going to come into your small town. I mean, we're a tiny little town, quaint little town. The main street, is, of course, I'm going to talk about that because that's where my shop's at
Yeah.
too.
Yes,
But we have
yes.
a cute little main street. We just went under, and we're still in the process of doing a new main street construction.
Yeah.
with the highways, the roads, and things like that. So, you're going to see these cute little shops that you're not normally going to see in these larger towns because they're all locally owned.
Right.
Um, and then even through there, of course, there's so much to do. Surprisingly, you would think, well, what are you going to do in Valentine? And we've had people ask that, but honestly, National Geographic had listed us as one of the top 100 adventure towns in the United States, which means that we have a lot of outdoor things you can do. We're known for our stargazing. They do stargazing parties once a year that brings people from all over the world because we don't have the light pollution. Like we do in
Wonderful.
the city. You can see the stars. I will tell you the first time when I came out here to vacation when I was like 19, it's a long time ago. That was one of the things my husband's like, just wait till you see the stars. And in South Carolina, we're not, we're in Columbia outside. You
Yeah.
see stars, but when you can really see every star, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And one of the other things was that they actually had, what was it, moved us to the let's see, trying to make sure I say it right. We were certified as an international dark sky park. Uh,
Oh, wow.
so we're completely certified out there, and a lot of people go out to one of our man-made lakes, Merritt, to go and do that for the stargazing party, which is really cool. But one of the other things, people come out to go fishing, ice fishing, hunting. That's my southern part. Uh,
Hunting.
um, as well as we have the Niobrara River that goes through. People come out to come tubing and camping, kayaking, tanking, where you're in a huge giant tank going down the river. It's crazy.
What kind of a tank?
It's like a big metal like feeding tank for like, yeah.
No.
So there's a few other towns that do that, and we have one of the outfitters that does that. And so it's pretty neat. And then we have even the tallest waterfall in Nebraska, which is Smith Falls, and we also have the widest waterfall in Nebraska, which is Snake Falls.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a little bit everywhere, but not that it's crawling with them. So I mean, there's so much adventure to do. I don't know. I can keep going on and on and
I
on.
have, I have a question. What about the golf courses?
Yes, that was one of the ones I was like, I feel like I need to talk about that next, and you
Yes,
said
yes,
it.
yes.
So we do have, surprisingly, several golf courses. We have one of them called Prairie Club, which the public can go and play, but it is a membership golf course.
Mhm.
And it has 3 courses to it, and it uses the natural sand hills. It was designed by one of the like
Oh,
PGA golf players. I don't remember the name,
it's all right.
but beautifully designed, and it brings people from all over the world to come and play at this course. 2 of them are ranked top 50 in the US, one is top 100. Then
Wow.
decided is another one that they just opened up, and they are exclusively private with their courses. So you have to be a member to play. But if you're wanting to just have a nice little bit low, like right inside our town, we have one called Frederick's Peak, and it's a 10-hole golf course. So it's kind of like your half course. You have your 10th hole if you need to skip one in between. And with that one, they do the same thing. It was actually designed by the same person who did our Prairie Club. And so you have the natural sand hills, and I'm on the women's league, not the greatest golf player, but I have fun. And it's a tough one though. Even my dad, who is the weekly golfer, when he's come out, he's like, it's a tough course. But it's absolutely gorgeous because it's not your plain flat golfing. You're going over sand pits and little canyons and things like that. So it's definitely more challenging, but more beautiful as well.
I mean, when you told me about it, I did a little research and I was like, oh wow, I have to tell. Remember, I think I mentioned this too. I have to tell my father about that because he loves golf.
We have people who come out and vacation just to do the golfing in our area, and then some of the surrounding towns that have their golf course, and they're coming from all over to just go and play golf.
I can imagine. I mean, it sounds like utterly gorgeous, and I want to do a road trip. A funny thing is that, not funny though, the movie is about a road trip. They're going from New York, leading up to, and I may have already said this, leading up to Valentine, Nebraska, and I'm thinking, okay, I think I want to take a road trip, and now I have to add this on to my list. Now, if I were coming out that way, where would I stay? Like not housing, but like sleep wise, would it be camping, or is there hotel, motel, inn? What do
We
we?
do have several hotels and motels, and of course, campsites, campgrounds. You can bring your RV camper, or we even have a city park where you can bring your tent and camp if you want to.
Oh,
But with us having a large tourism town during the summer, we definitely have several choices that you can pick from your hotels and motels. And they're all, especially our little motels we have, like they're just quaint and cute. And the motels are newer. There's, a few newer ones that we've had over the past probably 10 years or so. But we've also had a lot of like your Airbnbs and VRBOs that have been popping up too. So if you're wanting to stay more in a house,
yes.
and then just even outside of town, there are several great places that you can stay that have more of your cabins. That way you can be kind of more disconnected
Mm-hmm.
from the world. And honestly, because we are in the middle of nowhere, those places do have very little cell service. But that's the charm of it, is when you're wanting to disconnect, get away, unwind, unplug, these cute, adorable cabins are some of the best places to go as well.
Okay, I'm sold. It's on my list. Now,
Yes.
I remember when I called, you said you were in the middle of some kind of like event. What was going on? Tell
So,
us.
I during Valentine's Day, we have a few different things that go on around Valentine's Day. Um, I do an annual Galentine's event at the boutique. We had our first Daddy Daughters dance that was brought, that our dance studio did. And we have what is called Bull Bash. So I will tell you,
I love
coming from the city, anyone coming from a city that's not accustomed to ranch lifestyle
it. Right.
or farm lifestyle, it is definitely a sight to see. So they close our main street, and we have a lot of the ranchers that come out. They bring their bulls. You have other vendors too that work with the ranching equipment and things like that. And so you have these bulls that are in pens in the middle of our main street. So it's kind of like just a little day that you can come if you're a rancher. A lot of ranchers come. We have people that come from all over. I mean, I've met people, from Kansas, from Iowa, that come out to our bull bash, and it's just a sight to see. But it's normally a time that it's great for the community because all of our Main Street businesses have a sale going on, some type of event. There's a lot of, you know different things going on to raise money for our 4-H, which is the kids that are involved in a lot of things to do with, helping with the ranching and helping with their, livestock and learning how to do these things, as well as, quilting and other things as well. And so it's really neat to see what they're putting on, as well as we have a craft vendor event too. So we have several different people coming in for that as well. So it's a big, huge event for our town that brings a ton of people in. And of course, the community is supporting it as well. But seeing the bulls in the middle of Main Street is definitely a sight to see. And I definitely recommend people, if it's not too cold of a drive, if you're not too far, make
Mhm.
a trip out to it.
Now, what I think is interesting is the movie that is premiering on Saturday. They're arriving for Valentine's in Valentine. So I'm wondering if they know, if they did their research, and if they will mention anything about the Bull Bash. I'm really curious to see how they portray it and how good of a job they do. That's why I was like, oh, it's so cute. I want to get the real deal and the real story out there. So that's our purpose for tonight. And when you started to tell me a little bit about it, I'm like, That's so Hallmarkish. I hope that they didn't miss it, and if they did, it's okay because we can go out there and we can actually experience it ourselves, which is
Oh, yes, definitely.
now you have to have like some favorite places to eat. What would you recommend?
So one of the top places that you will see recommended is the steakhouse, because if you're coming out to Nebraska, where the ranchers are, cow country, you have to have the steak, and it is peppermill. So they are known for the steakhouse. It's um, I think if I'm not mistaken, is it third generation with maybe the ranching, but even with the restaurant business, second or third generation.
Wow,
And
sour.
so great steaks. So a lot of people like to come out and you have to get a steak.
Okay.
And so the the other thing that other restaurants we have, so you have to go there. But we have one called Old Mill, and that's one that a lot of people have loved since they've opened. So they grew up Amish, and so a lot of the stuff that they have, the wife does the bakery side. So you
Oh,
have like the homemade cinnamon roll and scones and baked goods. But then a lot of the breads and specialty sauces are made from scratch, but you get your deli style sandwiches, wraps, brick oven pizza, little bulk foods and goodies. And that's another place that a lot of people love to come out to as well. On top of that, we have, I like, because the Southern girl loves her barbecue. We have another one called Bulldoggers, and they have their smoked meats. You can get your brisket, your pulled pork, then all your fixin' sides, and they actually do sweet tea. So,
oh, that's nice. Now I have a question. Barbecue, there's all kinds of barbecue, and that could be a
oh yeah.
heat of this. We could do a whole podcast on barbecue. So your barbecue that you're used to in the South, and then the barbecue that you have in Valentine, is there a difference?
Okay, so the husband and wife, he's from Valentine, she's from Florida. So it's
Oh,
your pulled pork, southern, like it's southern. Like this makes me happy. And I will say they have their ketchup based sauce, but then being in the South, you have your vinegar and your mustard base.
yes.
So my husband perfected a sauce that they actually use there for like this vinegar mustard base that's delicious. So
Do you bottle it up and sell it in the boutique?
no, we don't. I know.
I know. I know. There's like all kinds of laws behind that. I got you.
There is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that made me happy because like I said, I love my pulled pork. So that was quite delicious to have that business come into town.
It sounds delicious. I'm excited. I'm so excited that I'm really curious to see how well they researched it to pick up all these little
Yeah.
details. But you know what it really like this I know I'm repeating myself, but we fall in love with these movies because we fall in love with the town, and to know that we can actually go there and everything you're describing is everything that we fall in love with. So that's exciting because it's real. Like we can make our fantasy become like a reality, which is a nice thing. Is it okay if I show some pictures right now that you shared with me? Okay.
Definitely.
And it's in it. There's some things that we've talked about, and then there are some things we haven't had a chance to talk about. Let me go back to the very first slide. So I believe your husband Phil does all your social media, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He handles the social media and our website.
Okay. So is this like the official Welcome to Valentine?
That is the official sign you see when you are driving in.
All right. What's it say at the bottom? Like right here
So
at the
it has small town big adventure.
Okay, I love it. I love it. And then we have a Valentine, the sign on the side of the building. And what exactly is that?
So that's been around for a while. I want to say they've had that particular design around since like the 60s, 70s.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just one of the iconic ones, Valentine, the Heart City. And that's one of the designs that we were able to take, and we've put them on, different little things at our shop too. It's just the whole iconic of the heart,
Right.
And so we are known as the Heart City. And so it's just one of the more iconic signs that you see about Valentine.
Now, what is the history of it? Valentine, was that someone's last name? How did the town get its name?
So part of that is it was established in 1884. So E.K. Valentine is who it was named after. And so he was actually a Nebraska congressman. So the early settlers really admired him, and that's
Oh,
why they kind of named it after him. But he was also a big part of the helping with getting everything established on the western part of Nebraska too. So he was really big at getting the paved way of people getting their settlements and all that done. So that's kind of how the name came about. So
sure. Part of the westward expansion. Pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I love that. I had a superintendent whose last name was Valentine. He was a lovely man. Really loved him. Not
No.
that's just me talking about myself. So this is, I think, your oldest daughter with the heart.
Yes, I mean, and that was a while back ago. That was probably when she was about 4, but we did that one to kind of send little postcards to our family and friends from Valentine, on our cold, snowy day, which we still have snow. Thankfully, it's melting.
What, like, how often and how much snow do you get?
So, I mean, we are colder because we're kind of top central Nebraska. We're about 15 miles from the South Dakota border.
Oh, okay.
And so we do get snowstorms. This past year, because we've had about 2 milder years, I think it decided just to catch up.
Oh,
So we started getting snowstorms like end of November, beginning of December, and it just kind of kept dumping like 8 to 10 inches.
oh,
Another,
wow.
yeah, it was on top of snow drifts. If you're in the South, oh man, you don't understand the snow drifts. Oh,
No.
and so we do have more than we usually do at this point, but we've had very dry summers, so we're kind of like, it's the moisture. It's the moisture. We need the moisture. So on average, though, we do get a few snowstorms. It's not, it pretty much we get a snowstorm, it'll melt, we'll get another snowstorm. So it's, I would say, like your typical, northern.
Okay.
We get our sub-zero temperatures at times, but in the winter times, I'd say you stay pretty much in between like your 20s and 30s,
Oh, okay.
which is still cold. Me saying that now coming from the South sounds completely crazy, but
I know, but you're used to it. You acclimate.
yeah.
Now, I think you may have mentioned the beautiful waterfalls, and this one has looks like, is it your children that are there?
Those are my 2 kids, yeah. So this is Smith Falls, the tallest waterfall in Nebraska. And what I love about this one, this one actually has a campground. It's a tent campground that you can go to, but you can walk. And part of the Niobrara River where you can go tubing down, you can get off here and walk to the waterfall.
Oh,
They're in the process of redoing the boardwalk that leads to it, so that way it's handicap accessible.
wow.
And so you can walk down into the waterfall, which is what I love. Like you can get down, you can play in it, the kids can come. So it's a great place in the summer for, the tourists to come, but we bring our kids out to it and they love it. And the water is cold. So if it's a really hot day, it feels very refreshing. And during the wintertime, it will freeze over as well, which is another gorgeous sight to
Oh,
see.
wow. My goodness, the waterfall itself, that must be beautiful. Oh,
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful. All right. And then this we really have not covered. And I think it's one of the most unique things about your town. So these are postcards that your husband's designed, correct?
Yeah, so he designed these postcards, and we have several other styles that we've done as well. But the fun thing about Valentine, Nebraska during Valentine's Day is that you can send your cards, put it in an envelope with another stamp in it, but you can send it to the post office, and then they will open it up, and then they can stamp with these adorable vintage cachets to have all the stuff Happy Valentine's Day from Valentine, Nebraska with all these stamps. So you can have your letters sent from Valentine, Nebraska to your loved ones. We also give that option too with our online shopping as well whenever we package and send stuff off to people as well, because who doesn't want a package from Valentine? I mean, it's fun.
I know that, and I love that when I saw it, and I did a little research, and I will put in the description once this posts exactly what where to send it. I think they even called it Cupid's mailbox, and then they had a PO box for it. And I think there was a deadline, like if you wanted to do it for Valentine's Day, I read somewhere by February 5th, you should have it there so they can turn it over and have
Yeah.
it now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's nice. That's such a cute, like fun little, like a fun little thing. Oh, now where, look at this. Is that actual, are those actual hearts in the sidewalk?
Those are the original hearts. So since the Main Street construction though, because we did have one of the oldest highways in Nebraska,
Right.
hadn't been done since the 1930s. There was a lot of stuff that had to get done. So the sidewalks did get ripped up. So we don't have the hearts any longer, but we made sure about every 2 years my husband would go and make sure to repaint those hearts on there so they would be nice and bright in front of our shop. But yes, the hearts were there. They are not there anymore, unfortunately, but um, it's overall a lot of upkeep because of that red paint just
Sure.
always fading so much over the time. So there were hearts originally there, but right now we have our new pavements, which is nice and smooth. So
Which is a good thing.
that is a good thing. Yes, yes.
And that's the front of your shop, and your
Yep,
shop is
that
in the
is,
center of town, correct?
yes, it is. We are the main street downtown. Yes.
Cool. Okay. I love it. I love it. And who is this lovely couple?
Oh, that handsome guy's my husband. No.
And we get to see inside the shop, like all the different things that you sell, and you had already started to tell us about
And
it.
honestly, even from that picture, we honestly just did a bunch of about every 2 years, I get an itch for doing some renovations in the shop and rearranging. So we've actually got some stuff all completely moved around and changed up now. But that's what kind of makes it fun and keeps people coming in to see what's different about it too.
That's really cool. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna remove those. And if you're okay with it, I wanted to highlight some comments and questions that our guests have for you. And I've been highlighting them as we go along. And I'm on my new device, and I forget that it's touchscreen. So I'm hoping I don't throw myself out. And if I do, I'll be back. All right. What's this? This is Janice. Jan said, could be a fun little town. My town/township is one of the largest in the state, and she is from New Jersey. So she's talking about her town. Then coming, maybe Jan, we should do a road trip. Jan likes to drive. She has something else here. She said, "What's your average rainfall?" That's what she was curious.
Ooh, it really depends on the year, unfortunately. I'd have to look up the numbers, but it really depends. Like last year, we were way under what we needed to be. We actually had a lot of fires that popped up.
Oh
Um,
wow.
we didn't have the rainfall, and even just having the moisture from the winter
Mm-hmm.
helps with that. So we didn't get as much snow.
Okay.
So this year, right now, with our moisture, we are actually ahead of where we need to be because of all the snowfall we had. Um,
So it's a blessing that it snowed.
it is a blessing. Yes, yes, we don't like it, but that's why we keep saying it's the moisture we need. It's the moisture.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I will say, actually, the average. My husband's so good. I will tell you this. He's over here watching, and
Okay.
the
Okay.
average is 21 inches. So
All right. He's a good man. Thank
he's a
you.
good man. He is.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, so Chris is saying, well, she's sharing some stuff. She said, I grew up in a village about that size between Akron and Cleveland, Ohio, that grew into a city. And the last I saw it just around 10K. It was great knowing most of the people and going to a smaller school.
Oh yes.
Yes. And again, I laugh at when we say that that's small. Because we're not even 3,000, but I love it. I love it.
I know. Oh,
And Lillian says, I need to move there. And if I'm not mistaken, Lillian is from Brooklyn, New York. So she really needs to move there, or at least go visit. You know what? Lillian's going to come to Jersey
there
and
you
she's gonna
go.
get in the car with Jan and myself, and we're going to go on a road trip.
Well, and I will tell you, Lillian, that we have had just another little thing. We've had a lot of people moving to Valentine recently. Over the past 2 years, we've had an increase with people moving out here who work remotely. because they want to enjoy the nice open spaces. You know, we've seen people coming from California, from Colorado, from Washington.
Oh, wow.
We've had people from New York, from like the Jersey area, you know. So we've had people from all over that have been moving to Valentine because they're wanting to enjoy just this nice, peaceful, open space. And I think you're starting to see people also changing that mindset from the hustle and bustle, go, 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 go of life to
Yeah.
realizing that you can slow down and breathe
Yeah.
and just take that time.
Yeah. That's always been what I love. I love that. I've never felt like I needed the hustle bustle. Actually kind of scares me. Like I like the slower,
Yeah.
beautiful. And you know what? Your beauty is nothing like I'm the East Coast. We have pollution. We have issues. So when you mentioned the stars, I was thinking to myself, I remember where did we go? We were in California, but my family lives in they live like in the center of California, but we traveled somewhere and we were like where you can camp. When I looked up and saw the stars there, I was like, oh my gosh. So I can imagine what that must be like by you. Like that alone, I get why there are people that go on a vacation and have that clubbing, like that club
Yeah.
and what I mean, that's like its own little art kind of hobby, I think.
Oh, yes, it is.
All right, Christina wants to know, does anyone know? Oh, does everyone know everyone there? And are you really close to the neighbors around you?
I will say yes. So I will tell you a quick funny story,
Sure,
Christine.
we love it. Go ahead.
When we moved to Valentine, my husband grew up in Valentine, so his parents are still here, his sister and family is still here. And we came from South Carolina, drove all the way up here. So when we decided to move, my father-in-law said, "Hey, I have a house. You know, I was going to renovate it, flip it, but if you want it, you can have it." And apparently the housing market, and the housing market is tough out here. Like people want the houses, they get snatched up pretty quickly.
Mm.
And so when we moved here, coming from South Carolina, it was the end of March. The next day, it snowed 7 inches. I am not prepared for the winter. All I had were Tom's shoes on. I didn't have winter boots. So we're tracking through the snow as we're trying to get everything done. And, you know, we're going to the post office and we're going to these places, and people are like, "Oh, you bought Mrs. Hooper's old house, didn't you?" We're like, "Who are you? And how do you know where we live?" They're like, "You're
Uh-huh.
you, right?" And we're
Yeah.
like, "How do you know us already?" So it's really funny moving to a small town, like how people find out really quickly. And I thought it was so weird at first, but we had some people moving in and they came in and they're like, "Oh yeah, we bought this house." And I said, "Oh yeah, it's so and so's house." And it feels like you did the exact same thing. I'm like, I guess I'm officially, small town Valentinian. So
I was going to ask you. So I live in Hamilton, and we're called Hamiltonians. I was curious, what is it that you are? What's your name when you're from
I guess
Valentine?
Valentinian? I don't know, that's what I just said, so
Okay,
I would
that's
assume
it.
that yeah, that's it,
That's
that's
it. So you're gonna put it on a postcard.
it. So yes, a lot of people do know each other all around town.
How could you not, right?
Oh,
Because
yes.
I mean, you're running into each other all of the time. So, Timothy Parrish, he says, just added the movie on his iPhone calendar. So, I guess from listening to all of us chatting, we now have someone who is going, Hallmark's going to thank us. We have someone that's going to be watching the movie.
I know. I've had people too, they're very excited and have been saving it so they can make sure to watch it on the 18th.
You know what? And I hope, like, I know I had some people that were commenting and they're like, but I don't think it's going to look like our town. And from the little blurbs that they saw, they didn't feel like it did. And I think, yes, there's a huge possibility that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
However, because they film with like in 17 days, but I'm hoping that that flavor and that little hometown-y feel is there.
Yeah.
And I know this is silly, but I hope they mention the bull bash somehow.
I think that would be quite the fun part if they had something like that. But yes, and I understand in movies, you have the production team they have their vision that they're seeing for a small
Mhm.
town, and it may not portray the exact small town, but the fact that Valentine is getting mentioned to me is just very exciting.
Right,
And being able to talk about this community and this town
right.
that I'm now a part of, it's really special.
It is. This is a good thing. I'm loving it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to share with you. We have a few more before we have to say our goodnights. So Jan, and Jan's not the only one. I just happened to pick hers. They're all wowed by the waterfall. Fall. They think it's gorgeous. And this is funny. So remember, I was saying all the people we're going to pick up. So Deb lives in Illinois, and she's like that. We must pick her up when we pass through.
You're just gonna have to get one of those Greyhound buses and start just picking everyone up on the way.
I think somebody said something like this. Someone, oh boy, or a larger SUV. So plenty of room, and she does. This is true. She
Yeah.
drives everywhere. So this
Oh,
is so
that's
exciting.
fun.
You know what? It would be so exciting if we did this, and then we'd all bombard your store, and we're like, here we are.
Yes, and I will give you a tour of everything. So
Yes, I would love it. I would love it. Okay, and we have a question from Eileen. She does your small town post office close for lunch? Some of ours do.
they actually do stay open. They have enough people there to where they can get their little lunchtime, have their breaks. So it actually stays open the whole entire time.
See, I'm telling you, for a small town, because sometimes there's small towns that are like mine that are three, 5 times the size of yours, and we do close for lunch sometimes, and you have to wait. Our pharmacy closed for lunch, and then you have to wait till they reopen. So, yeah, I'm telling you, you and your Kyle and his team that are running that town really are doing a good job.
They do. We have a good community and a good group of people for sure.
That's nice. That's so nice. This has been lovely. I hope we didn't leave out anything. But sometimes people will write me or email me, and if I have a question I cannot answer, then my new friend, I will send it to you, and you'll let us know. I will continue as the week goes on to post more about the town, along with what's going on with the movie. Just because, how can we not? I mean, we have to. We have to do that.
Oh, yes.
But is there anything you'd like to say before we say goodnight?
I mean, I honestly could keep talking about Valentine. And I will say, I never thought, and it's just like those Hallmark movies, you would visit the small town. I'd visit with my husband, and I'm like, never asked me to move here. And he's like, I don't want to move here. I don't like the winter time. And then here we are now in Valentine. And honestly, we love it. Like, I don't think I could go to a big city again. I enjoy the small town, the uniqueness that it has. And it's something that, I always consider myself a South Carolinian. But after living in Nebraska for 1 year, and meeting the people who always had this Nebraska pride, like
Yeah,
even people who moved away years ago from Nebraska,
right.
they are it's just something about this Nebraska pride, small town pride that you have.
Mhm.
And I completely understand it now. And
Good.
it's just a great community with wonderful people. And it's definitely a place to come out and visit and check out for sure.
I know. Now we have to. We definitely have to. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Whitney, for joining us. Don't leave. We'll say our goodbyes after we say goodbye to everybody here. We'll say our goodbyes in the studio. All right, friends out there. So we're excited because even though it may not have been filmed in Valentine, Nebraska, the setting is the main setting for the new movie, Welcome to Valentine, which is this Saturday, Hallmark Channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're Central, I think it's 7. And then you know how that works. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.
Night.